joins us. Anne Marie, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you watch the president in his chat about the oil and the escrow account and having BP pay for all the laid-off workers because he's idling all of the drilling platforms for 6 months?
I did. I watched it and watched the reruns, and he did not get very high grades on his presentation. And I think mostly it was because his presentation was not from the heart. It was more pressure to address this issue, which he should have addressed how many weeks ago. So it just demonstrates a lack of leadership. And I think we see that across the board. We don't have a budget in Congress yet, lack of leadership. They're just sort of free spending down there in Washington, as we talked about earlier. So always should be of concern.
All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm trying to give away a travel mug all at the same time because the federal government, Anne Marie, has spent so much money, printed so much cash that it gets to the point where it's worth less and less. And so I offered up this scenario that if you had $100,000 back in 1913, how much money would you need today to have the same spending power? And Chris wants to take a shot at it. So if you'll hang on, let's see if Chris can nail us. Hey, Chris, welcome. Glad to have you on the new 105.9 FM, the Big Talker. How are you?
Doing well. I'm going to take a guess that it's the $22 million. That
it's $22 million. If you had $100,000 in 1913, you wanted to purchase, you bought a $100,000 home in 1913. Today, you think it would be worth $22,107,024.
That's my guess.
You'd guess wrong.
Oh.
It's more than that.
Wow.
All right, Chris, thanks for the try.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye. Glad to have you in the new 105.9 FM, the Big Talker. Isn't that terrifying to know that they printed that much money? It terrifies me. All right, the Democrats are also pushing Anne-Marie Burkle for a sort of a second stimulus package.
Yes, they are. They have a $150 billion package out there right now. They want to extend unemployment for 2 years, and they want the doc fix in there, which is part of the health care plan, and it should have been in the health care plan, and they told the American Medical Association that it would be in the health care plan, and that doc fix is addressing the Medicare cut, the reimbursement to physicians, and it was not in the health care bill, and now they need to address it.
Well, it wasn't in the health care bill on purpose. They couldn't put it in there because they're trying to get the CBO to make it look as though the CBO scored the numbers in their direction.
Exactly right. If they had ever put that doc fix in the health care bill, that would have been right off the charts, and they knew it, so they left it out intentionally. It's worth about $300 billion, so it's a lot of money. And it's of concern with that doc fix issue is the fact that the effect that Medicare reimbursements will have on our seniors, and they should be concerned about that. And the other issue is that the Medicare rate, the TRICARE rate, which is the veterans plan, is tied into the Medicare plan rate. So whenever there's an issue with Medicare and the rates of reimbursement, TRICARE is tied into that. So we need to be looking at this very carefully because it may affect our military as well, and that should be of concern to everyone because the very least we should provide good health care to our military and to their families. So that's a whole issue, and as this health care bill unfolds, every day there's something new about it. So it's we'll wait and see what they, I think even the Democrats right now are upset and concerned with the spending. We reached a $13 trillion deficit in the history of our country, in the history of the world. That's the largest deficit. So this spending has got to stop.
I don't know if you were listening to the program earlier in the afternoon, but I had pointed out a study that had been done by Carmen Reinhart, University of Maryland, and Kenneth Rogoff from Harvard, and it's a study that looks at the relationship among rising debt, inflation, and economic growth in 44 developed nations, including the United States. And from 1946 to the year 2009, growth of developed countries, including the United States, stood at an annual rate just shy of 4% when debt was no greater than 30% of GDP. The picture got bleaker for those countries holding debt above 30 but below 90%. Economic growth slowed down and hovered around 3.5%. But when debt rose to over 90% of GDP, average growth went negative. Reinhart and Rogoff found out that when this worst-case scenario occurs, U.S. economic growth rates go negative. Inflation rate goes over 5.5%.
And that's exactly where we are. And by 2012, our deficit is going to exceed our GDP. Americans need to be concerned at what's going on in Washington. It's unfettered spending. They can't wait to pass another spending bill. And really, it's got to stop.
Well, the administration can't, but there are a lot of members of the House and the Senate who are afraid because they know that the handwriting is on the wall, and voters are already upset about the health care bill, and they're going to just flip when they see the debt.
Exactly right. And you know, it's all compounded when you talk about big government and government running things. A new report just came out today, and it shows that the United States, who's always reigned as the world's biggest manufacturer, is going to be overtaken by China in 2011.
Well, if we regulate employment to the point where it gets so expensive, and if we regulate wages to the point where it's so costly that American workers can't find work, we'll send those jobs to communist China.
And if we create a hostile environment for businesses and for manufacturers with bills such as cap and trade, with the health care bill, and the government regulations and the taxes, there's no reason why a manufacturer or company would want to stay here. We send them out of here. And that, again, should be of concern to everyone. But I thought that was a pretty telling report that really directs and indicates the direction this country is taking.
Yeah, well, let's hope you can get in there and change that direction. And the website is?
www.berkelforcongress.com. That's BUERKLE, berkelforcongress.com. Or we now have our new headquarters open, up and running. We're open every day.
We got to go. Got to go. Quick break.
Central New York's next generation of talk radio. The new 105.9 FM.